Good morning, everyone. I hope you are having a wonderful week after Thanksgiving and working hard to get together your plans for 2024, not 2025, and that you are really focused on what's important to you this year, whether it's your family, whether it's personal growth, whether it's business development plans for next year. We have had definitely an interesting 2023, and all of you guys have done an incredible job to get through the year and to focus on what's important. We also at RE/MAX Executive have been focusing on what's important. And many of you know Hadi Atri, but there are several new members that are joining us today that I want to introduce. Hadi, he is our company owner, and he has been in real estate for 30 plus years. It is the business he's been in his whole entire life since graduating from college. And he has an incredible mindset, and he's always focused on growth and how he can improve our agents' lives and how he can make a difference. And he is going to make some announcements and some introductions this morning. So I want to welcome Hadi. Hadi, welcome. Hadi might be having some technical difficulties. Let's see.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly, Hadi.
Okay, great. Sorry about that. Anyway, like I was saying, I was planning to be there in Wilmington in person. I actually had my ticket and everything, and I had to do a lot of cancellation last couple of weeks. I was supposed to be at NAR. I had to cancel that. I had a little freak accident, unfortunately, and I was traveling. And anyway, ended up having a surgery on my shoulder. I had a complete shoulder replacement, and I had to spend a night in the hospital. So anyway, I'm getting better. You know, it's been very difficult, and people who know me know that I'm not a stay-at-home person and not being able to drive. And anyway, I'm glad that we had this opportunity the last, I guess, meeting of the year. It's been a very busy couple of months. Both Kurush and Tiffany have been very busy. I had the pleasure of being able to go to Hendersonville last month and meet the owners of the Four Seasons that we just partnered with. And I think Shane and Samantha, Greg, and I'm really pleased to have an office in Hendersonville. We had an office in Flat Rock, but we joined the two offices now. So we're really excited about that. Now we have 3 offices in Western North Carolina, which is in Asheville, Waynesville, and Hendersonville. So welcome, guys, all of those that are on this call. Also, I haven't yet had the pleasure of meeting Cedric and Angie Robinson, the owner of Spot Real Estate. I know that this has been a fantastic partnership for us with them. They are an independent company, and they've had many choices. And I think after conversation with them, again, Kurush has been there a couple of times, 2 or 3 times actually. We came to an agreement, and I'm really, really excited. I think with the addition of this office, we will have 6 office and team offices in Wilmington, which is awesome. That's been an amazing market for us. With that being said, I want to basically hope everyone happy and wonderful, I guess, holiday season. I know it's a busy time, family-wise and everything else. And actually, a lot of people are finishing up the year. With that being said, I'm going to let Tiffany take over. And again, welcome everybody. And I hope to see you soon in the beginning of 2024, or maybe possibly if I can travel during our holiday parties. Thank you.
Thank you, Hadi. We do wish you a speedy recovery. We know that you love to run and that you hate that you are not on the run these days, and we wish to see you back out here soon. So as we get started, Kurush is going to kick off with our market update. Then we are going to go into some company updates on information, and then I'm going to share with you our new buyer brochure presentation and want to get your feedback on it. So please stay tuned, and I look forward to feedback. So please make sure you're thinking about engagement when I kick it off, but I'm going to turn it over to Kurush right now.
Thanks, Tiffany. Can you confirm if you can see the screen? You can see my slides?
Yes, your slides. I see the November 2023 update.
Perfect. And you've got the sound clear? Just checking the
Yes,
technology here.
perfectly clear right now.
Okay. James, everything is good to go? Well, good morning, everyone. Talking about technology. Let me get this out of the way. I am super excited, as Hadi said. Today, we have Angie and Cedric and some of the spot brokers here at the office. So it's excitement, new venture and growth for us in the Wilmington market. As Hadi said, now we're going to have 6 office locations in this market. Super excited. So we're going to talk about some stats and promise you this will be the last set of stats and numbers that I'm bringing to you this year. So I'll give you guys a break. Enjoy the holidays. Enough of numbers. But we're probably going to have more information market related. While we won't do a market statistics in December, but we'll definitely make sure to bring information to you if anything changes in the market. So we'll definitely communicate that. So let's get started with our stats. Let's see. Hold on. Making sure that we're live. Okay. First, let's talk about the economy. And I want to start there, get to the housing market, talk about what we can expect from the Feds, because whatever happens in the economy is going to determine the outcome of the Fed, and that is going to have direct impact on the housing market. We all agree on that. So the most important thing, the talk of the day right now in the economy is about Black Friday. How many people here in the room, they shop on Black Friday? Raise your hand. Okay, a lot of lawyers in here. So here's the thing. Numbers shows that about 200 million Americans, they were involved and they shopped during the 2 days, Black Friday and the Cyber Monday. 200 million. Pretty much anybody that could get access to any kind of cash, credit card, adults, you guys were all out there. So here are the numbers. On Black Friday, we had $9.8 billion of sales just online. And on Cyber Monday, $12.4 billion. These numbers are up about 10% compared to last year. So as we were all expecting that the economy is really slowing down, there's more people out there. Now you can have different interpretation of these numbers. Some experts say, well, the reason that people got out is because now people are more conservative with their cash, so they're trying to get the deals, right? But the challenge is, when you look at these numbers, we're seeing a lot of expenditure in a short amount of time that can potentially add to the inflation issue that we have, right? And that's the main concern. So we're going to have another Fed meeting before the end of the year, and they're going to pay attention to the inflation rates. And so anything that happened, the damage we caused in this past weekend, it's probably going to have negative impact on the Fed's decision whether they want to cut the rates or not. So they're definitely paying attention. Based on what I'm hearing, a lot of the people, the experts in the industry, they're saying that there's no sign that the Fed is going to start cutting rate in 2023. We talked about that it's going to be probably early 2024. Now they're pushing that forecast to the spring or summer of 2024. Now they're basically the whole issue is look at the core inflation today. Once we get all the stats for the damage was done during the Black Friday and Thanksgiving, we're going to be probably looking at a higher inflation. And this number, just to refresh everybody's memory, we went down to 2.9% back in June. And so start climbing up again. That's why the Fed is not going to start cutting rate this year. They want to keep the pressure going. And hopefully by June of 2024, we're going to see a 100 basis point drop in the rate. That doesn't mean that the rates are not going to be in a downward environment. You guys are already seeing the rates are going down because it's always supply and demand. So I don't think we're going to see rate increases, no more hikes, but definitely not any cutting of the rates this year is on the forecast. Move this. I think the screen is right there on some of my numbers. This is the credit card debt for Americans. And as you can see right now is an all-time high. Good or bad, we're looking at $1 trillion of credit card debt. This is the highest it's ever been in the past 2 decades. So people are putting definitely a lot of charges on their cards. But the reason I look at this, and I think that the Fed is done increasing rate because they're also paying attention to this. At the same time, they're looking at the expenditure, the consumer spending. They're also looking at the credit card debts are going up. So they're really going to be careful about how much pressure they're going to put on the economy. Oops. All right, looks like every time I move this. There we go. I got these two charts, and they're a little hard to see. I can share these slides, but I think this is again why I feel comfortable that the Fed is not going to have another rate increase. They might talk about it. I think Chairman Powell just talked about right before the holidays. He was talking about it's on the table. We may have another increase. I think they're just having to talk to make sure that they can control the market. But the reason that I don't think it's going to happen again, the delinquencies are going up. But here's looking at the consumer expenditure. I got this from our friends with Bank of America. They pay attention to what we spend. Those merchant companies, they report every time you guys go to the grocery store, you go to the gas pump. They are looking at the trend of what we're spending. And overall, as you can see, the expenditure is coming down, especially when you look at the retail and the restaurant, you see that it's actually down compared to what it was a year ago. And then the only industry that is still seeing some increase is services. On services, we don't have a choice. If we're paying more for our water, utilities, if we're paying for our internet, that's not a choice. You can't just cut your internet right away. So consumers are spending more on services, but everywhere else that it was discretionary, they try to bring those expenses down. My clicker is not really cooperating with me today, but all right. Here is another chart showing the average savings for the Americans. Good or bad here, when you see that it's actually came down, but still, when you look at historical average savings, we're still sitting at a pretty comfortable area. We look at 2021, this is where all the checks were coming in the mail. The average savings in the country was $240,000, a lot of cash, right? But we spent a lot of that money, and now you're looking at about $140,000 is a lot of cash between savings, savings accounts, operating accounts. So still a lot of cash in the business. This is good. This is a sign that, hey, we don't have to worry about any foreclosures. Job market definitely is responding positively to the rate environment. We had 150,000 jobs, which is exactly where the federal government wanted to see it. We had some hikes in here. If you see that right around June, when we talk about the inflation came down, so the job market was down, and then July in the summertime, it picked back up again. So now it's definitely coming down, and this is what they want to see. We want to see controlled job market, because when the job market is out of control, employers are paying more. When they pay more, it's going to add to the inflation. Now let's talk about our business. So now that we know what to expect on the rates, pretty much no more changes as far as the Fed base rates until next year. Let's talk about real estate. So here's the updated chart statistic from NAR. Now the forecast is we're going to close 3.79 million homes in 2023. And so that number is about 14% down year over year, and looking at median price point of $391,000. This is important to pay attention to, that in a year that everybody was thinking that we're going to see decline in home prices, overall, we're still seeing growth, 3%. So the home values are not going down. And look at these numbers. So 3.79 is the forecast for existing home sales. Best case scenario for us this year is about 750,000. The adjusted number as of November 22nd was about 725,000. So I'm just being very, hopeful here that we can add a lot more homes between now and the end of the year to the market, because there's incentives with the builders that we're trying to finish that inventory and put it in the market. Hoping that we're going to get about 750,000 homes. That will add the total number of transactions to 4.7 million. And just reminding everybody how competitive this business is. We talked about this yesterday. There's about 2.2 million real estate agents out there competing for those transactions. Just think about that. And I asked, we had a meeting in the Spots office. I asked a few people in the room if they know some statistic about professionals in other industries, like how many licensed therapists we have out there, and how many attorneys we have, how many physicians we have. I mean, there's not another industry you can think of that it comes close to these numbers. There's about 1 million physicians out there, about 1.3 million attorneys, and this is the only industry that we just have oversupply of experts. And so I'm optimistic that some of the changes in the market is going to bring these numbers down and make it more balanced. Okay. Oh, go on to the next one. So looking at 3.79, This chart explains why some of us are feeling the pain. You know, we're looking at our business is not is where it used to be. Obviously, you know, we're looking at 2.4 million transactions off the market compared to 2021. I know those years are very exceptional. We call them the unicorn years. I mean, there's definitely everything was like peachy. We're not going to see another 2021 ever again. But it's quite an adjustment for anybody in the real estate business to deal with that kind of drop in their transactions. 2.4 million less homes. This is what the difference is. But I think, again, we talked about this last time. We've seen the worst. If you look at the drop, when we started the year in January, we're looking at a 36% drop in the home sales in the country. And you can see that it's slowly improving. And, you know, we're now about 14% down nationwide as far as number of home sales. So it's getting improved, but we talk about this sometimes. I think in our August meeting, I mentioned that the worst is behind us, and these numbers prove what it was said at the meeting, that it's slowly getting better. Now, you're not going to see immediate changes in the business. I don't think you're going to have the most amazing first quarter in 2024, but you're definitely going to see some changes moving forward. Every month when you look at these numbers are going to look better. So yeah, the drop is about 15% overall. But look at where they had the biggest drop. Again, South is still doing better than the rest of the country. These are home sales. When you think about all the different regions, we're still better off compared to the rest of the country. And the problem is, you know, why we have the transactions down. Inventory is one factor, but I would argue with anybody that says it's all because of the inventory it's mostly because of the mortgage rates. I mean, think about, this is an average mortgage rate in the country. Back in January 2001, the average mortgage payment was $1,000, and now you're looking at $2,200. Right? It's more than twice the payment, and that's why we have some of the buyers basically just left the market because they can't afford these homes. They can't qualify. They do want to buy a house, but now they have to look at their income and see, how am I going to pay for this? So this is substantial change in the mortgage payment for anybody that's potential first-time home buyer. If you look at the rates in the past decades, I get this all the time, and people tell me, you know, I bought my first house, my interest rate was like 15%. Yeah, but you bought your first house for $50,000. And so, yeah, I mean, we hear about that a lot, that the rates are now where they should be, but the reality is that the prices have gone up so much that it's causing a lot of affordability. Looking at what it has been since 2016. That's a pretty good reminder that, yeah, before the pandemic, we're not looking at 6% rates. I mean, they were hovering between 3% and 4%. And so now we have this hike, and this is out of 2022. Now we're looking at rates are over 7%, right? 7.3. So that explains why the market is pretty much locked right now. I can move this so you guys can see this title. I saw this on Inman the other day. I thought it was funny. It's like, okay, so they did a survey. LendingTree apparently did a survey. And 35% of the people, they're hoping that there's going to be a crash so they can get into real estate and buy more homes. So I thought, okay, this is good because now it gives us something to educate. You know, we need that means that there's 35% of the buyers that we need to have more conversations with. Say, hey, yeah, I mean, it's good to be hopeful, but let's talk about this. Let's understand how the market dynamics are. So first thing is to let them know that there is no sign for the housing bubble. I mean, we're not really seeing any opportunity there for them anytime soon. And I'll explain why. So looking at, again, we looked at where the average price home is right now. We did have a drop. This is where the media was going nuts. At the beginning of the year, they were talking about home prices are declining. Everything is going down. There was a lot of headlines. But look, it quickly changed around July of this year. And we start seeing growth in property valuation across the board again. It's a very temporary change. Okay. Let's go to the next slide. This one is going to show, let's see if we can move this out of the way completely. This one is going to show what the forecast was. This is CoreLogic data, that the forecast at the beginning of the year that was, we're going to be around 2.6% growth. According to CoreLogic, they're one of the largest MLS providers in the country. Now we're looking at even an actually bigger growth in property valuation, 4.5%. So those numbers are even better if you look at CoreLogic data. And look at where part of the country is actually growing in property values. Is again looking at the east side and the coast. Whatever you see is dark red. So those are areas that we have the highest growth. So the Northeast, you can see that almost 7% property valuation this year in 2023. And in the Carolina region, we're looking at about 2 to 3%. Overall, it's about 3%. And yeah, there are only a couple of states that we don't have negative growth, but in Texas and part of the northern states, the west side of the country, we have less than 1% property valuation. But across the board, you can see that this is where everybody is moving. The Southeast is definitely on the map, and it's showing that the property valuation is going up. Just making it simple again, you can see that here in the Southeast is showing about 3% property growth. Look at this shortage. I thought this was a really good slide to share with you. I don't know if it's going to be easy for our clients to understand, but this is a chart that I got from CBRE. They had their conference to talk about commercial real estate, and they had some great data about housing. And these blue bars are showing the shortage in housings starting back in 2012, right? So the only year that we actually had oversupply was 2013. And every year, if you look at it, we're coming down in the shortage. And right now, according to this data, and NAR has very similar records, we are short at least 3 million homes in the country. So after all the new construction, everything that we're hearing, all the positive news, we're still short 3 million homes. And if we build these homes at the same pace that we've been building them, about 700 to 800,000, add those homes to the market, think about every year we're going to have some homes that are demolished, right? So if your positive gain is about 600,000, we're at least 5 years away from having a balanced market, minimum 5 years. I mean, that's if builders continue building at the same rate and there's no hiccup. So going back to those 35% of buyers that think that they want the real estate market to crash, talk to them about this. Yeah, I mean, to me, it's very unlikely that they're going to have that scenario. And the question was, I had a few agents asking me about the apartment buildings because everybody thinks that we're going to have too many apartments everywhere, and that's going to put some pressure on the houses. Those are coming down, actually. If you look in the permits, you see some constructions that are already started, but when you look at the permits and new projects, they're declining. And part of the reason that you see decline in multifamily is the rate environment. I mean, those builders, the investors, they're looking at the cost of money, the holding cost for big projects, $100 million, $200 million. Now it's hard to justify it at the new rate environment. So that's coming down a little bit. So I don't think there's any worries there. Think about the population growth. Think about how hard it is for the first-time home buyers now to afford something. We do need apartments for these people. We do need a place for them to live because affordability is an issue all over in the country. Looking at the commercial transactions, they're definitely cut in half. So some of you guys are in the commercial business, you do commercial transactions. It is definitely some of the toughest times for commercial. They're always about a year behind the residential. So I think we started feeling really the biggest drop in our residential business in 2022, and now they're experiencing it now in 2023. Vacancy rates, this is another, for our commercial folks, if you hear a lot about vacancies, most of those vacancies are in the big cities. So I know that there's a lot of headlines. Anybody who's a member of CoStar, every morning you log into your CoStar, there's another article about issues with these big buildings and towers and people moving out. A lot of it is in San Francisco, New York, Chicago, large cities where we have millions of square footage. And that's where we have the major issues. But smaller towns, they don't seem to have the same issue as far as vacancies. The leases are in place and the vacancies are not as bad as the media make it sound like. The strongest, the rent growth has definitely been in the industrial. So the office space is seeing about 1% rate adjustments. So the rent for commercial is not going down, but it's not really growing. But you can see the rent for industrial space is almost 9%, 10% up this year. And this is where the investors are spending. Again, looking at Charlotte, Raleigh area, a lot of commercial investment for anybody that is working with the commercial clients and investors. This is where the focus is right now. Okay, we're going to bring it to the Carolinas now. I have two slides to show the overall transactions, and so this is for the whole state. And just disclosure that typically our state associations are a little behind on their statistics. So They're usually about 30 days behind. So I'll have more data for every specific market, but just want to show you, this is a snapshot for the entire South Carolina market, about 14% down in number of coal sales. You can see that the month of supplies is 18% up. The average days on the market is 24% up. And the median price point in South Carolina is about $330,000. So just quick comparison with North Carolina. You see that our sales are actually further down. So the South Carolina market is about 15% down. North Carolina market is 25% because we have a lot of people moving to North Carolina, a lot more jobs here. So the home sales are down here 25%. And look at the median sales price in September of 2022 was $290. And then, sorry, yeah, $290 in 2022, and now it's $310,000. So this median price point keeps going up in the Carolina region. And if you look at the median price point from September of 2020, look at the jump, about $70,000 increase in median price point across the state. I like to pick on some of the associations, just this is where I'm going to have fun with some of the numbers and give you guys some ideas to market yourself in the next few weeks of the year as you're thinking about reaching out to your clients and talking about letting them know that you're the expert in the area. I just started looking at some of the numbers on the MLS. Canopy MLS is the largest MLS we have in the North Carolina region. And that covers all of our Charlotte offices, the Mountain offices, Western Carolina, and also Catawba area. So I just looked at all the numbers for the Canopy MLS. So this is full disclosure. We have people on the call from our Asheville, Waynesville office, Charlotte office. It includes all those numbers. About 47,000, less than 48,000 homes sold through October, which is about 18% down. So that market is down 18%. And look at the number of members, right? We have less than 48,000 homes. We got 22,000 members and subscribers, right? So yeah, I think it's important to see these numbers because a lot of times I talk to our brokers and they feel down. It's like, yeah, I've had a bad year. No, you're having a fantastic year. You're just not looking at your MLS. Look and see how everybody else is doing it. You're increasing your market share based on the transactions that are available. So look at this stats. In Canopy MLS, about 35% of all the agents, they had 0 transactions this year. No transactions. Okay, so anybody in Canopy, if you already had a couple of sales, you should already feel better about yourself. Agents with 5 transactions, about 7,000 out of 22, they're in the top 34%. If you had 12 transactions, I mean, you've done a decent job, you're in the top 12% in the Canopy MLS. And anybody with 15 transactions or more, that we have a lot of them, they're in the top 8% of that market. So as you can see, less than 2,000 agents have had 15 plus transactions this year out of 22,000. Okay, let's bring it home. Cape Fear. So the members, the number of members might be a little bit higher. So this is closest that I could get, about 3,500 members in Cape Fear. And as of October 30th, we've had less than 8,200 transactions. So you guys do the math. And these numbers are all about the same across the board when you see. It's less than 2 to 3 transactions per agent, right? So in Cape Fear, about 1,800 agents, they had 1 or 0 transactions. That's 52% of the market in Cape Fear. So since we're in Wilmington, give yourself a round of applause, because I know a lot of you guys had a really decent year compared to what's happening in the market. We had about 885 agents with 5 transactions or more, 25%. And anybody who's done over 10 transactions, they're in the top 10%. So if you've done 1 transaction a month, you're in the top 10%. Coastal Carolinas, 4,500 members, about 13 transactions. I would say this is probably one of the most productive MLSs in our region. Coastal Carolina, when you look at the number of agents in the transaction, is higher than the rest of the state and in the whole Carolina region. So this is going to cover Myrtle Beach area, Pawleys, Georgetown, and Litchfield area. So yeah, they had looking at the transactions. So Coastal Carolina, less than 14,000 transactions. And look at 1,800 agents with 5 or more. About 40% of those agents, they did 5 or more transactions. So it's, again, as a productive group of people, I think is one of the healthier markets for us. A lot of people are moving there. but agents are very productive. I would say if you want to rank our MLSs, regional MLSs, Coastal Carolina is going to be the first place for sure, as far as productivity. And here's a quick snapshot of everywhere we have an office. And this is basically showing you the percentage that we are down compared to last year, as far as number of closings year to date. So this is not month over month. This is year to date. We're going to start. Charlotte is down 18%. Asheville in the mountain area is almost down 20%. Waynesville, 12% down. Hendersonville, about 15% down. Wilmington market, this is where we have major inventory issue. Your market is down 19%. Anderson down about 8%. Greenville and Anderson, very similar as far as the numbers. Spartanburg market, South Carolina, super strong market. We had a lot of transactions in October and November. That's where the opportunities are. We talk about this. Some of the South Carolina markets, in my opinion, there's huge opportunity. When you look at the average price point there, what people can buy, they're going to attract a lot of people. And so the reason that you see that they're relatively doing better is because that's where people can afford to buy, and they're moving there. Myrtle Beach area, same issue as far as inventory, 23% down. It's a great market, but not a lot of homes. And Pawleys Island, Pawleys and Georgetown, they're the smaller offices. So as far as number of transactions combined between the two markets, I mean, overall, when you look at it, it's less than 1,200 transactions a year. So any seasonal changes is going to impact these numbers. I'm not shocked to see that, again, based on the limited number of inventories in those markets. But that's a snapshot for all of our offices in the region. And since I picked on Cape Fear and Canopy, I thought even just put some numbers there for Greenville as well. So this is GJR, stands for Greenville Greater Association. They have 5,000 members, close about 13,000. And let's see, oh, I have this hidden here. So about 1,100 agents, they've done 10 transactions or more. That's not bad. So here's another MLS that we're a member of, Western Upstate. Kind of a unique thing about this, the Western Upstate is in your Anderson area. A lot of agents that live in Greenville, they also member of this MLS. So because they do one or two transactions, they just join that MLS. So yes, it shows that they have 3,200 members, but that market only has about 1,200 agents actively full-time selling in that market. They had 5,000 transactions with 3,200 members. I mean, look at those odds. So they have a lot of competition, and that's something that we might experience as there's a lot of talks between MLSs merging and giving access and data sharing with other people. You may see that in your marketplace very soon. I mean, right now, Canopy is talking to some new markets. Every time there's data share agreement and agents from other markets can get access to a different MLS, you're going to see agents crossing borders, right? Doing more transactions. That's what's happening in Western Upstate, where there are only 1,200 local agents, but you can see there's another 1,600, 1,800 agents pouring into that market, bringing that transaction per agent down. So yeah, about 10% of the agents that have done 10 transactions or more this year. That was for the stats. So let's talk about something fun. If you're already with RE/MAX, you're signed up, you're probably seeing the invitations to R4. R4, our conference, has already been scheduled for March 25th or 28th. For the SPOT team, we are working to get the invitations, links to you guys. So you need to have your email address with RE/MAX set up before you can sign up. But I would encourage everybody to start booking flights and looking at the hotel rates. You don't have to stay at Mandalay Bay. There's so many other options. Just consider that the commute could be a little longer because that hotel is pretty much far away from all the other properties there. But definitely look into the rates, and I encourage you to find a roommate, find somebody, because you're there to network. You're not going to spend a lot of time in your room. Try to reduce your business expenses. But tips to give you to start planning for: make sure you have giveaway items. Jennifer Bullock has been going to R4, and you can probably share with the team that every successful agent is usually bringing something to give away with their name, with their branding. So if you're meeting somebody, you want to leave something behind. You want them to have a reference point and say, "Oh, yeah, I remember that. I've got a guy in Oak Island. I talked to him. I have somebody in Charlotte." So it's time to start working on that. Don't wait until March 1st and say, "Oh, now I need some promotional items." Start working on it now, and definitely look for your hotels. And great idea. Yeah. Any giveaway item would be good. So something I want to share with you, in case you didn't know. So We do have a special discount available. I call it Hottie's discount. And that's because, so RE/MAX have this discount for PBS brokers. Basically, those are offices that they have 300 or more agents. So it's not every RE/MAX office. We're the only PBS office in North Carolina. But there's another conditions that is the owners and the leadership, they have to attend every RE/MAX conference and meeting, and Hottie does that, so you guys can get the discount. So all of you, as soon as you put your email address in there, you're going to see that $100 discount that is available to RE/MAX executives. So the actual fee, if you register through January 10th, it's going to be $4.99 instead of $5.99. Okay. So I think, and a lot of people ask about the concert night. If you're a country fan, Thomas Rhett is going to have a private concert for RE/MAX agents only. So this will be in the arena, the property. So you're not leaving the property. It will be at Mandalay Bay, and it's very exclusive, fun night. That was it. Tiffany, if you're still there, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen and let you take it over from here.
Thank you so much, Karush. I'm going to pop into my slides and start. That was a great presentation. I really appreciate all the information, as I'm sure everyone else does as well. So as we get started, I'm going to give you guys a few updates, and then we're going to roll into the new buyer brochure, because I want to make sure we have plenty of time for that, but we don't forget some of the things that we need to share with you as we get going. We have a survey, and so if you have not seen it, you will be seeing it soon. You can click here for QR code. We want to know more about what you're thinking, how we can help you, tools that we have, what you like, what you don't like, what you've never used. We want to hear input regarding how we're doing as a staff, as a leadership team, as your broker in charges. So this survey probably will take 4 to 5 minutes, and you have a chance to win free swag from our real estate store, the RE/MAX Executive Apparel Swag Shop. So you'll be in a drawing to win that, and you can get anything from a hoodie to a jacket to shirts, hats. You can even get some swim trunks if you'd like some swim trunks. So please take a minute to click on the survey. And if you haven't seen it, it's on our Facebook page, and it will be coming to you via email and text. You have until the end of day on Monday, December 4th for this. Wanted to remind you guys of our holiday parties that are coming up. Soonest coming up is on Tuesday in Wilmington at the Terraces on Sir Charles. Wednesday, we have Coastal South Carolina offices at the Hot Fish Club. Friday, we have the Ballantyne Country Club for our Charlotte and surrounding area agents. We have Western Carolina offices, which are Hendersonville and Asheville. On Monday, the 11th at Leo's Italian Grill. On Tuesday, we'll be in Waynesville. I believe it's at the Porch Restaurant in Canton, if I remember correctly. And then we have the 13th, upstate South Carolina with Hop in Greenville. So those are the party dates. If you do not know about them and you need to register, talk to your admins, talk to your broker in charges, because you should have invitations out already. And we'd love for you to RSVP as soon as possible. You can bring a guest to any of these events. We just need to know that you're coming so that we can plan ahead. Children's Miracle Network hospitals. We have been #1 in the Carolinas for the last few years. We want to remind you that we have multiple ways to donate and really have a push. If you're looking for a tax write-off between now and the end of the year, or you're looking just to support Children's Miracle Network, we as a company have donated $1.5 million to the hospitals in our area since 1998. And we would love to continue with that trend. So wondering how to become a Miracle Agent, it's $500 per calendar year. So you can either do it this year or you can plan for next year. QR code is here to get you to the link so that you can register to become a Miracle Agent. But we also have another program, which is Honor Cards, which you might be interested in. And this link will bring you there. The Honor Cards are $30 per transaction, and we actually send a card to your client, letting them know that you're donating on their behalf. So it's a nice client piece from a marketing perspective, but it's also doing good in our communities. This is what the pledge form looks like, and you can find it at the QR code. If you have questions regarding Miracle Home Associates, reach out to your admins, to your broker in charges. They can connect you with the right resources. You can also go on RE Agent Portal. Last day to donate to RPAC, which is Realtors Political Action Committee, is Friday. If you have not donated, give the minimum donation, which is $15. $15 is a great way to increase the participation in your local association's numbers. The more participation they have, the more money that comes back to your local community. So make sure you're doing that, because it makes a difference regarding property rights. It makes a difference regarding your take-home paycheck. If you've heard us before, the advocacy that RPAC has done over the years has allowed us to save money. Most of us make a lot more than $55,000 a year in our paychecks or in our commissions. When you look at the taxes and the expenses that the advocacy has saved us over the years, it's about $8,000 for $55,000 income. So $15 is not much. Major investors, $1,000, and it makes a huge impact. And you should be supporting the efforts and the advocacy of your industry because it goes a long way. Hadi is a Hall of Famer. He has donated $15,000 plus over the span of his career, and he strongly supports it. So please make sure that you're considering this. Other piece, we have always supported Komen for the end breast cancer piece. So if you have not looked at Komen and you're looking for a way to provide for philanthropies this year, please take a look at that. And then making strides against breast cancer. Gina Mays Harris is a strong advocacy of this program, and we supported her this year in this, and we've supported a number of other agents in local efforts. So if you have local efforts, we'd love to share that information. So please consider sharing it with me, and I can get those posted on our next company update. RE Agent Portal is the resource to go to for anything and everything that you need RE/MAX Executive. We are also working on a new tool that we will release to you in January at our kickoff that I think you will love. But in the meantime, RE Agent Portal is there for you and gives you guidance. Any questions on the information I've shared so far? Okay, so as I roll into the buyer presentation, I wanted to share a couple of things from NAR that we got that I think will be helpful for you as tools, and we'll share them. Wealth comparisons, owners versus renters, 2019 to 2022. Look at that, over $100,000 for homeowners versus renters. Renters went up a little bit, but not much. Then total home sales bottoming this year before upturning next year. So just looking at the stats, make sure that you're paying attention in your area and that this is information you can share with your clients if they're thinking about holding off on purchasing, because as we see interest rates go down next year, more people will list their homes, but you're going to have a lot more buyers entering the market. So right now is the key time in the first quarter of next year to look at buying before things shift. You can always refinance later. Dr. Yoon, I laugh at him. He says, we have so many babies living in kitchens right now. It's not even funny that we've had 2 years of built up demand with 7 million newborn babies, 3 million marriages, 1.5 million divorces, 7 million people turned 65 years old, 4 million people died, 4 million people have new jobs, and 50 million people switch jobs. In your database, in your sphere, the people that know, like, and trust you, they probably fall into this category. So having the conversation with them and connecting and just continuing to be engaged during the holiday season and into the first quarter is important. Don't give up now what you're doing, because remember, what you do today makes a difference in that 60 to 90-day pipeline. So have those conversations during the holiday. Forward people, do what you need to so that you are in good position in first quarter. First-time home buyer challenges, finding the right property, saving for a down payment, understanding the process, paperwork, and getting a mortgage or an appraisal. Those are some of the things that first-time home buyers are having issues with. These are conversations you can have with your clients and giving them key ideas and resources to do so. And then first-time down payments, look at that. 16% of down payments are 0%, 1 to 5% are 22% of buyers, 6 to 10, 16%, and only 26% are giving more than 20% down. So those are things to consider as you're starting to have conversations with your clients. Now I'm going to switch over to another slide now. So give me just a second to pop out of that and pop into. Can everyone see my screen? So this is the home buyer presentation that we're doing. And remember, I want interactive information. So if you have comments, if you have information, throw it into the chat, and I'm going to put the chat on the side so I can see the questions. Okay, so moving this over. So as we get started, what we see here is you can personalize this. This is Agent McAgenson, but this is about you. Coming up with some information. It's easy to throw your bio in here, your information, any awards you've gotten, and a quote or anything that you want to put here relative to what's going on. It could be someone has a testimonial or gave you kudos for something. You can throw that in there. But then we go into, hey, who are we? How do we work? And we share a little bit about who we are. But it's not just about who we are, because our brand does make a difference and we want to focus there. But we also want to focus on what are we doing for our clients. So this is doing the journey. And so as we do the journey and we're looking through this process, it basically starts talking about what to expect. And this guide is designed as a template for the conversation, a guide for the conversation. Sure, it's something you're going to hand to a client or deliver via issue or online means. But what you want to do is have this as a piece that you can walk through with your client, whether it be online in a Zoom conversation or it be in person, so that we're hitting the highlights. We have some deeper points as we go through this process that we're going to give you that are going to be supplemental pieces that you can add to your email campaign once you have a buyer in hand, or you can hand it to them personally if you like to hand paper out, or you can have it as a link on your website. But going under contract, we talk about the process, but how do you prepare? What is representation about? How do you get pre-approved? And what is a home search and making an offer about is the first part of this piece. And this is a brochure, so that's 2 pages there side by side. So the preparation slide, it goes into purchasing a home and checking your credit score, how to budget and save, debt management. And then those do's and don'ts, those killers of the transaction, change bank accounts, apply for new credit, make large purchases, or co-sign for someone else. So these are pieces that you can hand out. You could even take these pages one off if you wanted to, but this is part of the brochure. As we scroll into representation, why hire a real estate professional? This is where you can walk through the 1 through 6. What is loyalty? Obedience, disclosure, confidentiality, reasonable skill and care, and accounting. Explaining and walking through fiduciary and what that means in a transaction, and expert negotiators, how you're going to negotiate and what your core strengths are as an agent, and how you're seasoned to advocate on your client's behalf. Talking about representation, and then this can give you a bouncing ground to talk about buyer agency and going into what your documents look like in North Carolina or South Carolina, so that they clearly understand and they're not just getting a DocuSign or a DigiSign to sign. Having these conversations up front is going to continue to show your value, and sharing experiences that previous clients have had can be huge. Think about that illustration, that story, and how you can take this and bounce things from here that are going to resonate with your clients. Pre-approval, just walking through the pre-approval process with them, getting to know your credit score, what you typically will need to get pre-approved, that list at the bottom there. And then ideas of what mortgage considerations are. And this is where you can start talking to them about, you don't have to have 20%, and the loan offerings. Jennifer Marks made a great point when she was looking at this, and she said we should also have some supplements for down payment assistance programs. And she sent me a lot of resources that we're working on for South Carolina, and I have some for North Carolina. If you're in Canopy, in the first quarter of next year, every listing is going to have a down payment resource button that you can click on that will look at all of the programs that that property is eligible for, and then you can see if it matches with your clients. So that's going to be a huge resource for you. Any questions so far? Feel free to open and have a conversation if you want. Home search and making an offer. Talks a little bit about all the things you've got to think about in a home search and how that works. Making an offer. How do you determine the offer amount? What contingencies are there? Earnest money. What the offer letter might look like in the offer piece, and negotiations and what that looks like. Again, this is just the framework for you to have those important conversations, to show your value, to help you get that conversation going. Then we move into the due diligence process. You've got due diligence, and that's home inspections, appraisals, and negotiation. In the due diligence piece, you've got purpose and importance, protection, informed decisions, the value of your asset, and legal safety, some of the things that you need to think about. And then the steps, you've got the property inspection, your title search, neighborhood research, reviews of documents, environmental checks, financial assessments, and attorney engagements. And then you've got expert guidance during the due diligence. What are you doing to guide? How are you helping them step by step and solving their problems, navigating the legalities in that process? Just checking my time because I want to make sure we get through it all. Home inspections. This gives you how it works. Hey, we start off with the generalist and we might go to very specific systems processes, what to expect. And then just talking about common life spans of items so that when they look at the property disclosures, they have an idea of what to expect. The appraisal, just looking at factors, location, size, condition, upgrades, market trends, things that they need to think about. And then this gives you the conversation of, hey, what happens if it doesn't appraise? You start having that conversation. The closing process, you've got title insurance, homeowners insurance, closing, and your welcome home. So what is title insurance? Most people have no idea what it is, and it's a one-time fee. So talking through what it is and what it covers and the importance of it. Making sure they understand the difference between title insurance and homeowners insurance and home warranties. So this gives you an idea of what homeowners insurance is and what home warranties are so that they can decide if they want one. And then closing day. Final walkthrough, what that looks like, what to expect when they sign. Are they going to get the keys right away, or should they pause their moving truck so that they give it time to record in North Carolina? What are the payments that they're going to have to pay? We're going to talk a little bit about wire fraud here probably, and making sure they're very careful, how the property transfers and recordation and what move-in looks like. And so that is our piece here that I wanted to share about, but I also had said that we would share a little bit more. So I'm going to look at the chat real quick. Okay. I'm going to look at the chat, and Haley, if you will make sure that you look at the chat closely, I want to finish up and give everyone this on time. So as I'm looking at this piece, I don't want to share it.
There was one question about the survey, but we can address that after the
Okay.
buyer presentation.
Okay, so this piece is one of the pieces. So when I was in California, I had to stop and think where I was at NAR. One of the presenters there had this, and I had it redone for RE/MAX. And what it does is understanding of the agent's role, what the needs assessment is. And she often says, if you don't want me to be your agent and represent you and pay me, what are some things here you don't want me to do? And so this is giving the buyer, so she typically will hand this to the buyer at a certain process, and I'll go over this more in another presentation, but she'll hand it to them and then she'll have check boxes and she'll say, just check off all the things that you want me to do for you. And when they do, that's a great conversation if you have to get into why you're being paid and why you should be paid. We also have this offer presentation piece that we'll be rolling out so that you can do comparison of offers on the listing side. And then this is a more in-depth piece on home inspections as to what to inspect or expect. And so lifespans, a little more detail. And then just kind of a new address notification piece and things you need to be thinking about. But those were some of the pieces that we are working on and that we will be sharing with you. And I wanted to make sure that you guys all had that information as you're thinking about what you're doing relative to putting it in your own words. We'll share it with you to where you can print it as a brochure, or you can print it out and hand it to your client in pieces. It is up to you because we want you to be able to add the value in the best way that you can. Also, wanted to let you know that we do have some other trainings coming up. So every Tuesday and Thursday, we probably will not do it the week of Christmas or the week between Christmas and New Year's. We will be doing KV Core training at 10 o'clock. You all should be getting emails and messages on that. And it'll be different topics each week, or you can just come and ask questions. Then we also have our Rise, Shine, and Risk Align, which is every Monday morning at 9:30. Again, we probably will take a hiatus the last 2 weeks of the year, but it is something that you definitely want to catch on to. Mark Hatcher, I see your hand raised.
Thanks, Tiffany. This is absolutely just spectacular. Hey, is there anything we can fit in, a little Q&A or maybe directed at people that we don't want to show up on site, new construction?
Yes, we can have a new construction piece. We can have a Q&A and work on that. So I'll work on it and I'll share some information.
Yeah,
with
let's,
you and we can
you
share
know,
with you.
usually the builder represents the, is the seller, and that on-site agent represents them, and why you need representation.
That is a great point. We probably could pull it into the representation section if it's not already there. I think we did talk briefly about FSBOs in there, and so I'll make sure we add new construction.
Yeah,
Great.
thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Any other feedback for the good of the cause, guys? We appreciate your time today and your commitment to us. And if there is anything that you need or any questions you have, you know where to reach your brokers in charge or admins. You can always reach out to myself, Karush, and Hadi as well. But thank you so much for joining us today. And we look forward to seeing you at a holiday party. Make sure that you RSVP and have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much.